for the power of coaching. You'll hear encouraging stories from coaches sharing their journeys and their lessons learned along the way. Tips from top experts who help coaches thrive in their life and their business, and so much more. So if you're ready to create a business and a life of impact that you love, let's get started. Hello, everybody. We're so excited that you're joining us on today's episode of the Create a Life You Love podcast. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Dr. Aggarwal. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, great. I'm so happy to be here.
Doing good.
Yay. So if you are new to the podcast, I'm Chantel Cox. I'm one of your hosts of the evening. I'm an author, a speaker, a transformation neuro coach, and a certified life purpose coach who saves purpose-driven coaches from feeling stuck and frustrated so that you can get off the hamster wheel and make the aligned impact that you are destined for without overwhelm and burnout.
And I am Gwen White, a quantum human design specialist, certified virtual coach, and I work with introverted, powerful women entrepreneurs who are surviving in an extroverted world so that they can heal their exhaustion, overcome imposter syndrome, have plenty of energy to engage, be well paid, and get massive traction on their most important work in life. And just quickly before we introduced our amazing guest, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the Create a Life You Love membership, which is an exclusive community of passionate, purpose-driven coaches who are partnering up in powerful ways to increase their knowledge, momentum, and impact. So for more information and to apply, check out createalifeyoulovecoaching.com/membership today.
Yay. Okay. One more quick little reminder before we dive deep into all the amazing value of the evening. This episode is being streamed live onto Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube using Restream. So feel free to share comments and questions in the chat. And if you happen to be watching on Facebook, please be sure to allow permissions at chat.restream.io/FB. And that just lets us know who you are when you make comments so we can kind of tailor our responses if we are familiar with you and your journey. Okay, so we are super extra excited to be here today with Dr. Puja Aggarwal. Puja was originally scheduled to be a guest a few weeks ago, but was rescheduled due to Hurricane Ian. And we're obviously very relieved she came through the storm and was able to be with us today. Dr. Aggarwal is a neurologist and certified burnout and growth mindset expert who teaches busy, high-achieving female professionals how to get rid of overwhelm, stress less, and find yourself in our chaotic, fast-paced world. So welcome. We're so excited to finally have you on the show. So how are you doing since the storm?
I'm good. Nothing major happened, so very happy. But feel sad for whoever else out there, experienced damage and loss of a life. So
yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunate, but yeah. But overall, doing great. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
We are so thrilled here. I have to say, I'm really fascinated how you went from neurologist to coach. So I wonder if you could please tell us a bit about your journey of creating a life you love for speaking and coaching. And of course, we'd love to know who you serve, what got you started.
Yeah, so I'm a physician by training, did all the medical school residency in neurology, and then started practicing. I'm literally 2 years into practicing, or for those listening, when you're practicing, it's after residency, when you're a full-fledged doctor. I experienced burnout. I was working 60-plus-hour weeks. I wasn't sleeping much, just literally like a few hours at night. I wasn't able to give much at home. I had 2 little kids. I was irritable. Eating whatever was around because I didn't pack my lunch, eating healthy, not exercising. It was something that was initially temporary, and then it became chronic. I was on call frequently, and I just kind of came to a point where I was like, one day, I came home, my little daughter was asking me to read a book, and I just I yelled at her because I was like, I had no energy. I was not sleeping, and I was like, I can't be doing this. I can't be yelling. I can't be doing, no job, in my opinion, is worth your mental health. With your health overall. And so I realized for me at that point, that I needed to change something. So I sought out help from being a doctor. I sought out help from another physician, seeing a primary care doctor. Didn't really do much. I went out and I thought, well, do I need to see a counselor? And I'm like, that's not working for me. So then, I found life coaching. I found a coach who really helped me with my mindset, the way I think about things. Our brains are naturally very pessimistic, negative. It's something that once we are more self-aware, we can actually innately change that and rewire those neural pathways or brain pathways through a function called neuroplasticity. So what that is that let's say if you're thinking negatively, it's something that your brain does naturally. You can be deliberate about your thoughts and change those to positive thoughts, and over time, then it becomes subconscious. It's actually then you're rewiring your brain and building those new neural pathways through neuroplasticity, and then those positive thoughts take over. You have more joy, more happiness. So bringing back to my story, a coach helped me with that, helped me be more self-aware and realizing how I was showing up in my life. It wasn't just myself. There were external factors with my burnout, workload, duties and things like that, which contribute. But also, what was I doing with my life? And so that really helped me. And so last year, actually, during the pandemic, I saw such a need of female professionals who are trying to do everything. They're trying to work remotely or go to work, come home, manage kids. I mean, with COVID, there was sickness everywhere. You had to call out maybe. Or if you had to work from home, you had to manage or balance both, kids, work, or even if you didn't, managing sick spouse or other family members. So it's something that I saw there was a need. So I decided to become a certified coach because it really helped me. And just using, my background being a neurologist, and I actually do research of the brain. I'm a neuroscientist. So all of that kind of just aligned with being a coach, especially with burnout. And, I think people don't really realize that burnout actually does change the structure of your brain. It can cause, your amygdala, which is your feeling center, your emotion center, to actually become more enlarged. It can cause something called amygdala hijack. Where when you are, non-stressful situations for a normal person would be fine, but for somebody who's in burnout, they become stressful. So you become more irritable more quickly and upset and agitated. And so, also with burnout, it can affect your hippocampus. It's a part of your brain that's your memory center. So you can cause shrinkage there that can cause you to have some memory loss, difficulty thinking. And it also affects your prefrontal cortex, which is your judgment zone or your executive function. So it makes you have difficulty with making decisions. And, whereas a normal person wouldn't have all these issues. So, burnout has been shown with research to affect the brain in multiple ways. It's not fully thoroughly researched yet, but there are some, preliminary studies that show it does affect that. So, I don't think people really know that. It's really important that people realize burnout is not something you actually have to live in or continue in. You can leave that job. It's okay. You can find another way. And so that's really what's motivated me to help female professionals to stop people pleasing, let go of perfectionism, and to live the life that they want.
I love that. I love that. Which leads into the next question I want to ask you, but I want to circle back a little bit to you were just talking about the brain, and I'm over here geeking out over it. And
Exactly.
so you talked about how it changes parts of your brain, and I know just from personal experience, like my prefrontal cortex, my ability to think and problem solve and process when I am under extreme stress or in a period of burnout is impacted. Um, Talk to us about, is that a temporary or a long-term impact?
So at this point, we don't fully know that. They are thinking that some of these changes might be something that you can't change them, but we don't fully know. And burnout is it's a newer concept, so the research kind of lags behind new concepts. So there are some studies that have been done in the last 5 years that show this. I think we need more research to fully say. So at this point, though, they're thinking that when people are experiencing burnout, when it's more chronic, that it does affect the brain, and maybe those changes aren't reversible. But again, it's not really out. There's not a full consensus out there.
Gotcha. It's just fascinating.
It
And
really
then,
is.
yeah. And because then, you also talk about the power to change your brain and neuroplasticity. And so, yeah, I just for my own personal nerdiness, I might do some digging and research of my own to see what is out there in terms of knowledge. Because yeah, I think this is such a chronic thing in our society as a whole, and so being empowered with knowledge about it is just very, very important and powerful. Okay, so you talked about that you could do all this and you don't have to live in burnout. You have options. You can leave stressful jobs. You can, take certain things. And you said a beautiful thing that, you can create a life you love essentially. And so, what does that mean to you? What does create a business and life of impact that you love mean?
So first of all, who are you? What do you want your legacy to be in life? What do you want to be known for? How do you want to live your life? A lot of us don't know that. Just going through everyday life, like you mentioned, being on the hamster wheel, the rat race. We don't know who we are or what we want. We just kind of go to work, come home, do the things that we need to, but we don't really know who we are or what we want in a life. And so sometimes people regret not doing the things in their life that they want to, or that they didn't do. And so really focusing and being deliberate with intention about what you're doing, taking that time to figure out what it is that you want, writing it down in a journal. And then if there are things that you want to do in life or you want to be somewhere else in your life than you are currently, figure out a way to get there. Hire a coach. Coaches can help you in life, change your life, and help me. So coaches can really help you figure out, to me, everybody knows what they want. It's in them. It's just they need the right person to help get it out of them. Okay. And so a coach can help with that. They can help you be more intentional and figure out what your priorities are. Where do you want to be? And then how to get there. You know how to get there. It's just you need help to get it out of your brain. So, living that life is something where you are at peace. You are happy with where you are at, and that knowing that there's always room for growth and you're willing to learn and take on new challenges. And that's really where living a life of impact.
Love that. And so, because you were already a neurologist and then a coach came in your life and helped you, and then you wanted to kind of like give back as well. And you saw such a power in it that then you're like, wow, this is going to be part of my story too, and how I make an impact on this world. So I just think that's so amazing. um, so, you've used the term overwhelm a few times, and I've used the term overwhelm probably 10 times today. And it's just such a common complaint these days. And so, can you talk to us a little bit about like what exactly it is and what causes it?
So, being overwhelmed is caused often by fear, um, anxiety, by overthinking. So all of these things where we ruminate about what can happen, what will happen. I was just reading an interesting statistic where we waste almost half of our day thinking about other things and the task at hand, what we're currently doing. So if you think about that, that's of our waking hours. Half that time when we're doing some task, we're thinking about something else. So you're wasting that time instead of focusing on what you could be doing with that one task you want to get done. So that overthinking comes a lot from fear. If this doesn't happen, that won't happen. If I don't get this promotion, or if this doesn't happen, I can't do this. But again, you're wasting a lot of time in life doing that, and it doesn't serve you. And that's really what coaching helped me to realize is that anxiety and that fear and that overthinking it doesn't serve you. There's no purpose to it. Our brains do it, and it's something that a lot of it comes from millennia ago, like with humans, that we were really just trying to get food to eat, survive, and then those primitive what are called reflexes or thinking is still present. Some of it obviously we've changed or have much more higher cognitive thinking and function. But, the way we are now, we don't need to focus on those things. We need to focus on the life that we want to live. We need to get that overwhelmed because it doesn't serve us. I was actually also reading recently, more than 25% of adult women have anxiety. And so that's 1 out of 4 adult women. And that's probably an underestimate. It's probably at least half.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So can you imagine half of the adult women, and this was in the US, living in overwhelm, anxiety, and overthinking? It's not statistic.
Wow. It's just talk about overwhelming. That's overwhelming in and of itself. Sort of kind of piggybacking on what you're talking about women, you really specialize in working with female professionals on these issues around overwork, being overtired, being overwhelmed. And it sounds like you're doing this through identity work and goal setting. And I'd love for you to explain why that path and why it's important.
So, like I mentioned earlier, we often don't know who we are. We need to find out who we are. A lot of that comes back to thought work. So, one thing that I do with my clients is a thought download or brain dump, if you want to call it. It's where we focus on what are you thinking and what feelings does that bring up for you? And when you have those feelings, what actions are you taking and what result does that produce in life? This is where you are currently. Where do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? And then, well, what thoughts are you going to think that you actually believe in that are going to serve you or get you to the life that you want or get you out of that burnout or overwhelm? So we get to where they want to be, and then we kind of work backwards. Well, what steps do you need to take? What thoughts do you need to create? And for them to envision that life now and feel that way now. Because when you feel that way now, instead of in the future, when you, so one thing I want to mention is we often have an arrival fallacy in our brains where we think that once we get to a certain place that we will feel happier, but that's not true. You can create that happiness right now. And when you create that happiness right now, you can change your life much easier and much quicker than if we continue to think once I get there, I'm going to be happier. So that's what I work with my clients to create the life that they want by, first of all, envisioning it, believing in it now, and being happy right now and choosing to be happy, and then working their way towards getting the life that they want. And then I also work with them in terms of people pleasing and perfectionism, especially females. We often try to people please, put others first, and then we take on more tasks than we want to do, and that leads to burnout, overwhelm, and then we lose who we are. And we're afraid of other people not respecting us. And a lot of that comes from poor self-confidence, low self-esteem. And perfectionism ties into that also. A lot of people who are people pleasers are perfectionists. They want everything to be done perfectly, and they waste a lot of time. They procrastinate. And so I really help my clients with building their self-confidence and their self-esteem, and then to stop the people pleasing and to learn to say no and to set boundaries.
Ooh, big one, boundary setting.
Yes, so big. Yeah, all of those key areas that you just mentioned that you help your clients with are just so huge. Like any one of them could be like an entire hour-long podcast, and then some, right? And so, is there any one of them that you want to maybe like dig in? Is there any like process to tell our audience, or like some secret sauce to make overcoming burnout possible?
Yeah. So one thing I really recommend, so people who feel like you're experiencing burnout, that could be irritability, poor sleep, working longer hours, or for some people, it could be working less hours, just not being challenged enough in burnout. It could be that you have a high workload, you're not feeling respected at work, you don't have a community. So all of those can be symptoms of burnout. So really examining the root cause. What is causing your burnout? And this is why I think a coach is essential, because that's not something that maybe you could if you really spend the time, but I think a coach is essential for that. Examining the factors at work, examining the factors at home in your personal life. What are your relationships like? How much time do you have for yourself? How much time are you spending at work? And really looking in and diving down into what is causing that burnout, because I think it's a combination of personal and work issues. It's not just one. And so, getting it down into that, hiring a coach, and then figuring out what is causing that burnout, I think that's the best way to start. But I do think that there are ways that people can start right now, if you are experiencing burnout or you feel like you do have burnout, to help improve it. So one is journaling. Journaling at the end of the day, spending 10 minutes writing down your thoughts and feelings is really essential to being more self-aware and having a higher emotional intelligence. So what happens is when you are actually journaling and writing down, you're putting pen to paper with your hand, your brain is seeing what you're writing down. It's processing it more than if you're like typing or something like that. So then it is actually kind of, if you want to think, being imprinted on your brain that this is the way I'm thinking and I'm feeling. So you're much more self-aware. And then doing that on a daily basis. And at the end of the week, reviewing your journal entry. You can see how your week went, what could be done better, what could be changed. That's one thing you could do right now. The second thing is breath work or meditation. And it's something that you could just do every morning for 5 minutes. Just sit quietly and take deep breaths for 5 minutes. Focus on your breathing, try to get rid of all those other thoughts and just focus on your putting your hand on your chest and seeing your diaphragm rise and lower with your breath. And then that focus and that breath work is also, with research, been shown to help ease stress and calm and help make you more calm and elevate your mood. So those are two things that you can do. And then the third one is practicing gratitude. So gratitude is where we focus on what we actually have and being grateful for it instead of focusing on what we don't have. It is so normal for our brains to focus on what we don't have or that negativity. So focus on what you do have, that gratitude. And actually, again, research has shown that gratitude increases your dopamine, your norepinephrine, your serotonin, which are the neurotransmitters in your brain, are your happy chemicals. They make you feel better, it boosts your mood. And these are things that, again, they have to be practiced daily. They have to be a habit. And then only then will you also still see that change in the brain, that power of that neuroplasticity.
Wow. So simple and yet so powerful. Um, it's so interesting you mentioned gratitude. And, we hear a lot of people talking about paying lip service to gratitude, but it is so important. And I was working with a coach recently, and he was talking about making out your gratitude list and always putting yourself first on your gratitude list, as in, I am grateful for the person that I am today, and going from there. But
yeah, that's a great thing to start with first, because often we're not grateful for ourselves or grateful for other people or whatever else it is. But that's a great thing to start with.
yeah, I love that. And I love the ideas of just journaling, breath work, meditation. I mean, we were all, here in our respective places. And I realized when you said breath work, I was like, oh, I think I've been holding my breath for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, breathe.
Most people who are overwhelmed or anxious, they don't take deep breaths. They take
Exactly.
shallow breaths, they breathe fast, and then that makes them more anxious.
Exactly. Just exacerbates the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
It is so good. The thing that the more I learn about just the brain and how our body works and everything, I grew up in a military household. Both my mom and dad were in the military at some point. And so it's just, yeah, I didn't ever really grow up with the woo, right? My dad
Mm-hmm.
would say things like, "Oh, what are you going to do? Stand around and like hold hands and sing kumbaya?" Like, we just didn't do those things. It wasn't part of, I wasn't exposed to them as I was growing up. So then as an adult, after my life dramatically changed and I was going through a divorce and I'm rehealing myself from an abusive marriage. I finally, for the first time ever, picked up a self-help book and started learning about these things that other people grew up with. And it's foundational, like self-help 101. But I was 30 years old and it was brand spanking new to me. And some of it was so far out of my comfort zone because, meditation, that's weird. And just these things that once I became more open to them and trying them and gratitude journals and started seeing the impact, then that became one of my passions to help share this with other people who hadn't been exposed and really break it down with my little special ed background to make it super, super simple. And then I was just fascinated as I started meeting neuroscientists in the coaching world and how they were merging them together and being like, oh my gosh, what I was kind of raised to think is woo and weird is so based in science. And I also grew up in a very Christian household. And I'm like, God created our brains this way. And we were uniquely designed. And so no matter what your belief system is or anything, it's just fascinating to me that all these systems work together and are in place. And they can be used as tools to combat all the things that we're dealing with as society right now. And yeah, it just excites me that there's people like you and platforms like podcasts getting this message out there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are afraid of the woo-woo. They think like, we think meditation, or they think yoga, they think it's, for some people, they think it may be like praying or something like that. But I mean, meditation or breath work is just deep breathing. That's all it is. And I mean, that's something you could just do. I mean, you don't have to have music. You just sit in a quiet room and just take deep breaths. That's all it is.
Yeah. And there's some amazing meditation apps. So if you need an app for it, there's some great ones.
Yes.
Yeah, incredible. I'm curious to know, we've really been kind of focusing all of our time and showcasing burnout, overwhelm, these sorts of things, anxiety. I wonder, Dr. Aggarwal, are there other things that you think or that you have experienced in your coaching practice, in your medical practice, that hold people back from creating that life or that business of their dreams? Like, what have you noticed that make people, that keep them from getting there, so to speak?
Yeah. So I think believing that they don't deserve it. I think that is, and some people in a trauma response, maybe to something that happened as a childhood, or maybe they just, have been told they don't deserve a good life, or maybe they don't have been told that they don't deserve to have the life that they want. And I think, that is something that they believe, if it's something that they're told over time. And then if they believe they don't deserve that life that they want, or they don't deserve a good life, they're not going to go for it. They're going to feel more like, well, I don't deserve that. Why should I have that life? I can't have that. It's not for me. It's for everybody else. It's not for me. I think really when people do the inner work, the thought work, and kind of get over those thoughts, and it can take some time for some people, and then they actually believe that they deserve that life, only then will it change. Because if you don't deserve that you that you should have a good life, or that you should live the good life, you're not going to have it. You're going to still live the life that you're in.
Yeah. It seems like self-sabotage probably comes into the equation. People get so far, and then the limiting belief from the subconscious comes into it, and all of a sudden they find that they've messed something up for themselves. They've backtracked for whatever reason, and they find themselves continuing that cycle. Are there things that you, as a neuroscientist, a neurologist, can help people with limiting beliefs? I mean, obviously we hear of using hypnotism or that type of thing. But how do you get in there and really reconstruct the belief?
So that really comes down to, like I talked about earlier, the thought work download, or the brain dump. It's examining those limiting beliefs. What exactly are they? Getting down into the nitty gritty. Like, well, what exactly are those thoughts? What feelings do they bring up? And then, what are the actions taking? And then what is that result it's producing in your life? So it's really that thought work, getting down deep into those thoughts, identifying them, and then trying to change them, is really what I do with my clients to help them. And then those self-limiting beliefs over time will change. I can tell you, for me, self-limiting beliefs is something I definitely had. I thought, well, I can't be a public speaker. I can't be on a podcast or have my own podcast. I can't do any of that stuff. That's just not for me. Other people, it's okay for that. But it wasn't really until I got coaching that I was like, no, I can do that. It's not hard. I can be a public speaker. I can do that. I can be on podcasts. I can be out there on social media. I can do it. So it was really those self-limiting beliefs, until I actually did that thought work and tried to change them and actually change them, that those self-limiting beliefs changed. And that's how I help my clients with it. And that comes back to neuroplasticity, rewiring the brain. Those thought patterns that are ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, those like those belief systems that were formed. I'm sure you know the exact data in science, but I know I've read somewhere that most of them are formed like before the age of 7. Like we're not even like really in control. We're just getting these messages from our environment, and then they end up impacting us so much as adults. You know, that's why so many of us have money stories and just like shame around different things that are our limiting beliefs. That, you know, why would you want to be on a podcast and social media? What do you think you're this big hot thing? Like, who do you think you are? Like, those things are not meant to be there. Like, and they're able to be removed. So yeah, that's amazing. So you've shared so many just amazing things. And something that was really pivotal as I was kind of recovering from burnout myself was me opening my eyes and being like, I don't have to adopt every habit and everything that every successful person has ever done. If I don't get up at 5 a.m. and have a 4 hour morning routine, it doesn't mean I'm lazy or bad. Like, just really reworking those thoughts and figuring out what works for me. We do something called the personal success ritual that Gwen is teaching myself and our members in the membership. But so I just love to hear from you. Like, what are some of the things that you attribute your success to? Like, do you have micro habits or routines or rituals that help you do all the things that you do?
Yeah, so actually, I do have a routine in the morning. It's not long; it's only like an hour, and I don't get up way early. I get up at 6:30 in the morning, so it's not like 5 a.m. So I get up, I take a shower, and I do the breath work or the meditation for 5 minutes. I practice the gratitude, and then I also journal at night. So I do those three things, in addition to trying to eat healthy and exercising. So all of those things have been effective for me to help create the life that I want and to just overall help with your physical, emotional, and mental health. I mean, all of those things are beneficial. So I try to do those every day. I mean, there may be a day here or there where I may miss, but those habits are essential. And I don't know, I was just reading somewhere that most millionaires or most people who are successful have these types of habits. But again, I mean, everybody's different, but that was just some article I was reading. Just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, that's a common thing, I think, especially the more and more I was getting into the entrepreneurial world. There's a lot of like masculine energy around it too. And so I love that what you just shared about your personal routines. It's very intentional, it's very simple, and it aligns with you and it works for you. And the thing I love the absolute most is that when life happens and you don't do it perfectly, it's okay. Like, you're not going down the shame spiral. You're just saying, okay, like, progress, not perfection. Like, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I like the phrase imperfection is perfection.
Ooh,
Yes.
put that on a bumper sticker.
Yes. So, obviously we are as a society, there's like a craze with perfection. Everything has to be done perfectly. That's not reality. So imperfection is actually much better. So imperfection is perfection.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree. I think we need to have t-shirts or mugs made.
I think they're already out there. I mean, I think I heard that somewhere. I didn't make it up.
Nice. We'll have to just grab a few of those and spread them around. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I would love to know as you look ahead, Puja, what's next for you? Do you have events coming up? What's on the horizon?
So I am really focusing on more on my coaching business. I am, just striving more, helping more people, as many people as I can. I had an event in last month in September in Orlando where I live, and it was called I Love Me. And we focused on loving yourself first and putting yourself first. We had so many speakers and we talked about how to focus on you, and I spoke about the importance of mental health. So I want the world to know more about that. I want you to know your mental health is important. You are important. Love yourself first, and then you can love others. So I want that message to go out more towards the world, and I want to help as many women as I can who are experiencing burnout with people pleasing and perfectionism to let go, to be able to say no, set boundaries, and let go of that shame and guilt and live the life that you want, because you can do it. You know, one thing that I am working on right now is I'm applying for TEDx. I'm applying to be a speaker. I have some interviews coming up, so hopefully that will be something that will be coming up in this, hopefully.
Wonderful.
You
Well, you'll have to let us know when that does
I will.
happen. Because, yeah, I definitely want to see your TED Talk.
Yes, I would love to do one.
ditto. Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing. We're always just like right there on the same page. Yes. Um, so after just everything you've shared, I know people are going to want to connect with you, learn more from you. And so where can people connect with you at?
So they can find me on my website. It's www.zenfulbrain.com. That's zenfulbrain.com. That's my website, or I think Instagram is listed down there. I'm actually also on TikTok. That is new. And so my handle on there is at Zenful, Zenful Doctor, Doctor. And then, so those are the main places to find me.
Nice. Let me make a note to myself so that we make sure we get all of those links in the show notes for everybody. And then I'm very excited because you are being gracious enough to share a free gift with the audience. So, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so actually there's a couple of things. So one is if you go to my website, there is I'm not sure if I sent this. I think maybe I did, but 5 days of journal prompting. So be able to get started right now. Go to my website. You can get 5 days of journal prompts. There are quotes there. I love quotes, so that those are inspirational quotes, and then questions to answer. And so that'll help start that habit of journaling. And then number two, if you feel like you are experiencing burnout, you can go to my website and schedule your free strategy session call with me. We'll go over where you're at in life and where you want to be. And you'll leave that strategy call feeling much more empowered to live the life that you want.
I love that.
Beautiful. What I'm curious, what happens on a call like that with you? Like, what kind of process do you take people through?
So first of all, we go more into where are they at currently. Where is the work life, and then where they want to be. But we focus more on initially one aspect of their life. Like let's say they have burnout, one aspect of that burnout, what's causing, and then we focus on where they're at now, where do they want to be. And then we go, if you do end up going and signing a package with me or doing coaching, we expand that. So with that strategy call, we focus on one area, and then literally in half an hour, you can get so much done, that work, and there's so much that can really be changed. Our brains are so malleable, and we can rewire those pathways.
Nice.
That's awesome. And you said that's complimentary?
Yeah.
Amazing. You guys go check that out. Like, whatever you're doing. If you're driving, pull over, go click the link.
Totally.
um, as we kind of wrap up and wind down, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners today?
So I like to live by quotes. I think that quotes are very important, and they're very educational. So one quote that I really like is, "I can do it." Our minds, our brains naturally say, "I can't do this. I can't do that." But when you think you can do it, you can, and you make it something that you do daily. Again, it comes back to those neural pathways. You're going to believe it, and then you're going to take on new challenges. You're going to have more growth personally, professionally, and in your life. And then you can take on anything.
Wow.
I can do it. I love
We're going
that.
to have so many mugs and bumper stickers.
I love it.
I love it. Um,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just so thankful for your time and that we were able to connect. And yeah, I look forward to an ongoing, just collaborative relationship with you. And please, please, please let us know like what's going on in your world, especially if you have something like a TED Talk. We'd love to feature that in the Create a Life You Love community and support you in any way we can. Your mission is exactly aligned with Create a Life You Love, podcast, coaching, membership, all the areas. It's all about making an impact, using your time on this world and your skills and your knowledge that you've learned from life experiences, from degrees, from wherever you got it from, and using it for the good. And just, yeah, our world needs you and everybody else doing this work. So
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time and being here.
absolutely.
We can all use sinful brains. I love that.
Yes. And to our audience, whether you're joining us live on the replay or on your favorite podcasting platform or over on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to go connect with Dr. Aggarwal and get her exclusive gift, the 5 days of journal prompts for empowerment. It's going to take you on a journaling journey out of burnout and into empowerment by reminding you that one small step a day can have a huge impact. So all those links will be in there for your easy access.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So I'm curious to ask our listeners and our audience what their takeaways were from today's episode, what value they got, and to please share the episode if they did enjoy it with someone who would benefit. So many people struggle with overwhelm, with burnout, and I think this episode could really be helpful. Also, if they could leave a podcast review at ratethispodcast.com/Calyl, Calyl, is always appreciated. You can quickly and easily leave a review from your mobile device by grabbing that link in the comments and show notes quickly and easily at ratethispodcast.com.
Yes. And we read every review, and we take it very seriously because we want this to be a value and service to you. So whether it's a review, a DM, an email, we do want to hear from you and have this be as interactive as possible. And on that note, I'm super excited for next week as well. Tuesdays are my new favorite day because I always get to connect with amazing people. So we're connecting with someone from a mastermind I'm in, actually. Her name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. She's a visionary life coach, a motivational speaker, and an author. And she's also the host of the internationally top-rated podcast, GEMS. It's GEMS. And she's quickly approaching her 700th episode. So we just celebrated our 100th. We're doing a podcasting masterclass in our membership. It seems like lots of people are feeling called to make an impact through podcasting. And so I just thought of her immediately and wanted to get her and her expertise in for you.
Absolutely. So exciting. It's going to be fun talking to Genesis next week. And again, it was really amazing to have Dr. Puja Aggarwal as our guest this week. Once again, you can catch us live every week in the Create a Life You Love community, or catch all the episodes on your favorite podcasting platform, including this one.
Yes. So same time, same place next Tuesday. Have a beautiful evening and enjoy the journey. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life You Love podcast. We would love to hear from you about your biggest takeaways. Share them with us on Facebook or Instagram at Create a Life You Love Coaching. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. If you're ready to build aligned and sustainable momentum without overwhelm and burnout, we invite you to apply for the Create a Life You Love membership on our website, createalifeyoulovecoaching.com/membership. That's it for now. Enjoy the journey.